Hello everyone, I am Miss Nilli. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to take a closer look on school bullying in Canada, which is a very serious topic that we should be looking at in terms of Canadian education. So before we actually start anything, we should be talking about what is actually bullying in the school. Now, before we talk about the definition and all these little details, we need to take a look at some stats about school bullying in Canada. In 2015, the Canadian Red Cross did a survey with a lot of the students, and they found out that 1 in 3 students in Canada have reported being bullied, which is a very huge number because that means every 3 students that you interview, there is one that says they have been bullied before. And in 2016, Media Smarts also did a survey on Canadian students, and 30% of Canadian students reported being cyberbullied at least once in the past year. And one thing that we realize in nowadays, especially in this decade, is that more and more students are reporting that they are being cyberbullied instead of physically bullied. Now, another stat that we can look at is in 2005, we also, this one is more like an article, over half of bullied children do not report being bullied to a teacher, which means that a lot of the students, even though it's 2005, which is almost 18 years ago, a lot of the students did not believe that reporting is effective, or they're just really scared to report. So half of them did not even say anything about bullying. And 2007, according to Kids Help Phone, over 70% reported having been bullied online, which is what I just said, we have more and more cyberbullying, and 44% reported having bullied someone at least once. So we're not only talking about somebody being bullied, but also talking about a high percentage of students who are bullying others as well. So we're definitely talking about a very serious matter here. Now, even though the stats are very scary, does that mean that we're not doing anything? No. Obviously, it is important. It is scary. That's why we have to address it. So before we actually talk about anything, how we're going to address it and how the schools actually address it, we need to talk about the definition of bullying first. The definition of bullying is repeated aggressive behavior in which one person intentionally causes physical or emotional harm to another person, often in a power imbalance. So in this case, we're talking about two very important parts. Is one, there is an intention in there. So somebody is intentionally causing this harm. Because there are sometimes that people are just having conflict and they don't intentionally cause any harm to the other side. The other thing that we're looking at is often in a power imbalance. So which means that someone is more powerful than the other. It could be money, it could be the wealth. It also could be their physical power as well. Now, there are so many different types of bullying. What I just said, for example, physical power would lead to physical aggression, which means that people are actually punching each other or people are pushing each other. And it could be a verbal harassment, which is somebody swearing to another person, or they're saying something that is super hurtful to another person repeatedly. There are also social exclusion, which means that they're isolating a certain student or another children to make them feel bad and make them feel emotionally harmed. Oops, sorry, wrong button. And also another one is cyberbullying, which is more and more common right now because of the development of technology. Now, what are some effects of bullying? So a lot of the times that the students who are being bullied, they would decrease their self-esteem because they would start to question about themselves and say, why am I the person who is being targeted, or why am I suffering from this? So a lot of the times they would have a decreased self-esteem. They would increase their anxiety and depression, which makes them really upset and very scared all the time. And because of the stress and because of this depression, a lot of the times would cause physical health problems. And those physical health problems are not necessarily coming from physical aggression, but it could be coming from being stressed all the time and being depressed all the time. Specifically in education, we're looking at a decrease in academic performance and future success, which means that students are being stressed or being depressed, and they don't feel like studying anymore, and they don't feel like they're achieving anything anymore. So in this case, they're not going to put in as much effort as what they would have done in their 100%, so that their academic performance will decrease and hence affecting their future. Now, one thing that we need to note is there is a difference between one-time argument and bullying. One-time argument is just one time, but for bullying, this behavior needs to be repeated and intentional. So we could have like student A fighting student B, or like student A saying something a little bit of aggressive to student B. That doesn't mean that it is bullying. But let's say if student A continuously do that while making student B feels hurtful, or making B feel like depressed or anxious, then that would consider as bullying. Now, what are some causes of bullying? There are so many different causes of bullying, and one of them is from individual factor, which is about the person who bully the others or being bullied. So they normally portrayed, a lot of the times portrayed like poor social skills, low self-esteem, and lack of empathy. And that doesn't apply only on the perpetrator, but also on the victim as well. Because a lot of the times, like I keep saying a lot of the time, but many times when students have like a bullying incident happen, usually it caused by some sort of argument or some sort of physical aggression first, or not necessarily physical aggression, but like some sort of argument first, or like conflicts. So if students are like people in general having poor social skills and lack of empathy, it will lead to these type of arguments or conflicts, and it will lead to bullying to happen. Now, there are also family factors as well. A lot of the times the perpetrator or like the person who is bullying others, they have poor family relationship. Sometimes they would have lack of parental supervision. Maybe the parents are way too busy, or sometimes the parents just don't care. Sometimes they would have like family violence history, and those would contribute to somebody who could be bullying others. I'm not saying that it's a direct relationship, not necessarily saying that somebody is bullying others would have all of these factors, but each one of them could be a contribution to somebody who is more likely to bully others. And also some school factors as well. For example, whether the school has a positive school culture and climate, whether adults are present to intervene with different scenarios, and they are like sometimes like just having adult present is already giving a message to students saying that, hey, like there are people who care, like there are people who are watching, right? And then also whether the school have an anti-bullying policies and they have enough programs to educate students on what is bullying and how to prevent that, that would also impact on whether students would know what is actually bullying and what they're doing is right or wrong. And there are also community factors as well. Let's say if this community itself, because we're doing by boundaries, if that community have more violence, it will lead to more bullying incidents. And also like the social and economic status of that community would also affect on how students are solving their conflicts, and that would lead to whether there will be bullying or not. And obviously everything that I said is not like a direct relationship. It's not like A definitely need to lead to B, B definitely lead to C, but it's about what could contribute to these bullying incidents. And the last one could be technology factors as well, because now more and more people are using technology. So the more usage of technology, obviously they could have more chances that cyberbullying is happening. And the other thing is about lack of accountability, because a lot of people can be anonymous online now, including myself. So if there's anything happen, they don't really need to be responsible because there's no accountability involved. So therefore, more likely students are going to say things that are more hurtful, for example, like haters in the internet, and that would also lead to bullying. Out of all these 5 groups of factors, you will see that school is only one factor. There's so many things that could have contributed to a bullying incident. and school is only one of them. Even if the school change, which is great, even the school address it, that is only addressing 1 out of 5 of the factors. Now, out of the 5 factors, community factors and technology factors are the development of society or like where you live in. So in this case, you can't really change anything about it. However, we could have changed the family factors and the individual factors. That is something that we can control. We can teach students on how to do their social skills. We can increase parental supervision. We can decrease the family violence. We can teach what is empathy to students. All of these can be controlled by either the school or the family itself. So what are some school approaches in terms of bullying? So first of all, school usually do a lot of anti-bullying campaign. It's more like raising awareness and also basically creating a message to the students that the school cares, because the more that the school is involved in how much they care about bullying, the more likely that the students would face that issue and have less bullying happening. Now, the other thing is about providing education. Like what I said, providing education on how to solve conflicts, how to deal with social skills, how to deal with others, how to be empathetic. All of these can contribute to minimize the incident of bullying happening in the school. Now, we also encourage students to be an upstander, which we encourage them to don't do anything that would be hurtful to others. And also we give them social skills training so that they would have the social skills to communicate with others and also resolve conflict. And we also foster positive relationships so that like students are not like, we minimize the conflicts that the students would have in the school. And last but not least is to have a safe reporting system, because like what I said at the beginning, a lot of the students who get bullied, they don't report it because they're just too scared to report it. But if we do have a safe reporting system, then an adult can actually address to these bullying issues. So if the students don't say anything, it's really hard for the schools to know about it. And the reason why for that is, especially in the past decade, a lot of the bullying is happening on the online atmosphere or like social media. So if the students are not saying anything, it's not like the school is going to look at the students' social media. So the school will never know that this is happening. And like what I said at the beginning like the previous slide, what are some factors that can contribute to a bullying incident? And one of them is individual factor. So if we don't and school is only one out of the 5, right? So if we don't have a safe reporting system, most likely the school is not going to know what is actually happening. And what are some things that family can do? So family can model some positive behavior, which is like the same reason why I was saying it before. They should communicate with the school as much as possible, because like what I said, like the schools would not know what is actually happening unless the family or the students are coming forward to tell what is actually going on. Also, families are encouraged to monitor their students' online behavior. Teenagers and kids, they don't know how to use social media properly. Yes, they are tech savvy, but at the same time, they don't know what the boundary is. They don't know what is actually offensive and what is not. I'm not saying that like don't let your kids use social media. That's a little bit too much of avoiding a problem happening. But educating them what is actually okay to say and what is not actually okay to say, and that's important in a family education. And also teaching students on how to solve conflict, that's very important as well, because like what I said, a lot of the bullying incidents come from conflict first. So if we teach them how to do conflict resolution, it is less likely that a bullying incident is going to happen. And also talking to children or students about bullying is very important, because if the word bullying becomes a taboo, then the students are less likely to come forward if there is anything happen. But if it is not a taboo word, then they're more likely to report it, and more likely the adult would have a way to address it. Now, when we're talking about bullying, a lot of the myth actually comes out too, and one of the ones that I would like to address is a lot of the parents or like whoever my followers are, they would always say higher ranking schools or more academic schools have less bullying. Well, that is actually a myth, and I'm trying to be a myth buster. you don't really have a direct correlation between whether academic schools or not would have like more or less bullying, because there are so many factors that can actually contribute to a school whether they would have more bullying cases or less bullying cases. But one thing that I found as my own experience as a teacher is that I've taught in academic schools, like more academic schools as well. I found that like the more academic the school is, the more likely that you will see the bullying is happening online. And it's not because of academic school equal to cyberbullying. It's more like because a lot of the students spend their time, like majority of the time, in front of the computer and also social media instead of like physical aggression. So in this case, like when they are bullying others or being bullied, it happens more on a computer or like on the phone stage instead of being in a physical stage. So that is something that I observe in terms of like the differences when you have like a more academic school. But whether an academic school or not, like having bullying or not, has no correlations with the ranking. It has no correlation on how academic the school is. Now, this is it for this video. I would love to talk more, but I don't want to make my video to be too long either. If you do like it, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And you can support me by joining my membership or like buy me a coffee with the Buy Me a Coffee website at Miss.Nilli. You don't even need to do anything about that and still follow me, like supporting me by following me on Facebook and Instagram at miss.nilli.classroom. And tell me about what else do you want to see about this topic, because I make it so short and it's a short and sweet video. I mean, it's not that short, it's like 18 minutes now, but at the same time, it's not usually like how long my videos would be. So in this case, if you do want to talk more about a certain topic in terms of like bullying or cyberbullying, feel free to let me know in the comments. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.